version of you in 2026 is being built right now, while you are listening to this. A future version of you is taking shape. Not tomorrow, not next year. Now, every thought you repeat, every habit you tolerate, every excuse you justify, they are all bricks. And the truth most people never face is this: you don't wake up one day and become successful. You wake up and realize you already became whatever you were building in silence. 2026 is not a date, it is a mirror. It will reflect back the discipline you practice or the comfort you protected. Most people think the future arrives suddenly. It doesn't. It approaches quietly, day by day, decision by decision, until one morning you realize life has chosen for you because you refuse to choose for yourself. Average people drift into their future. Focused people design it. And the difference is never talent. It is direction. Napoleon Hill understood this when he studied the lives of men who built empires from nothing. Carnegie, Ford, Edison. They didn't wait for confidence, followed. The moment you decide who you are becoming, your behavior begins to reorganize itself around that decision. But if you don't decide, life decides for you. And life has very low standards. Look around. Potential everywhere. Execution nowhere. Dreams spoken loudly. Discipline practiced quietly by very few. Most people live in preparation mode forever. They are always about to start. Always almost ready. Always waiting for clarity. But clarity does not come before action. It comes from action. And the version of you in 2026 will not care about what you intended. Only what you repeated. That future version of you is watching right now, watching what you do when motivation disappears, watching how you handle boredom, watching whether you choose comfort or progress, when no one is forcing you either way. This is where lives split, because success is not created by dramatic moments. It is created by ordinary days handled with uncommon discipline. Edison didn't invent under pressure. He trained his mind daily until solutions became inevitable. Lincoln didn't rise because of luck. He sharpened his character through failure until leadership was unavoidable. They were not special. They were deliberate. Deliberate with their thoughts. Deliberate with their time. Deliberate with their standards. And that deliberateness is missing today. Distraction has replaced direction. Busyness has replaced progress. And comfort has replaced ambition. But comfort is expensive. It costs you the future you could have built. Every time you choose what is easy over what is necessary, you are voting for a weaker version of yourself. And those votes add up. The problem is not that people don't want more. The problem is they want it without becoming more. But life never negotiates at that level. You are paid in proportion to the person you become. That is the law. If you want a stronger future, you must build a stronger self daily. Not when it's convenient, not when it's inspiring, but when it's repetitive, when it's boring, when it feels invisible. Because invisibility is where greatness is trained. Right now, somewhere, someone with less talent than you is outworking you, outlearning you, outlasting you. Not because they are better, but because they decided to take themselves seriously. And seriousness changes everything. When you take yourself seriously, you stop negotiating with weakness. You stop explaining your goals. You stop seeking permission. You stop waiting to be understood. You build quietly. And the version of you in 2026 will not be asking, what if I had started earlier? They will be living inside the answer. But only if you act now. Because the future is not approaching slowly. It is arriving one habit at a time. And the question is not, will 2026 change your life? The question is, what are you building for it to reveal? Because whether you acknowledge it or not, the process has already started. You are in motion. Even standing still is a direction. Every day you repeat the same routines, you reinforce the same identity. And identity is destiny in disguise. Most people believe change begins with motivation. It doesn't. It begins with decision. A clean, ruthless decision about who you are, no longer willing to be. The version of you in 2026 will either thank you or resent you. There will be no neutral reaction. They will look back at this season, this exact window of time, and see it as the turning point or the missed opportunity. Because this is the phase where habits harden. This is where discipline either becomes a lifestyle or remains a theory. You cannot escape the consequences of who you are becoming. And that is not a threat. It is power. Napoleon Hill called it definiteness of purpose, a fixed target for the mind. Without it, effort scatters. With it, even chaos organizes itself. People who lack direction feel busy but unfulfilled. People with direction feel pressure but progress. Pressure is not the enemy. Aimlessness is. Pressure means you are carrying something meaningful. The future does not require you to be perfect. It requires you to be consistent. Consistency is not intensity. It is loyalty to the process. The average person overestimates what can be done in a week and underestimates what can be done in 2 years. That is why 22-6 matters. Not because it is far away, but because it is close enough for habits to compound dramatically. Right now, small actions feel insignificant. That is the trap. Because the most powerful changes in life begin as movements too small to feel. 1 hour of learning per day. 1 disciplined morning. 1 hard conversation avoided in the past, finally faced. None of these feel heroic, but they are identity altering. The version of you in 2026 will not be built by moments of inspiration. They will be built by routines you commit to, even when nothing seems to be happening. This is where belief must deepen. Belief is not optimism. It is obedience to a vision even when emotion disagrees. Every successful individual in history had days where doubt spoke louder than faith, but doubt was never allowed to drive. Edison failed thousands of times. Ford went bankrupt. Disney was fired for lack of imagination. What separated them was not confidence. It was persistence backed by clarity. They knew what they were building, even when they couldn't yet prove it. Clarity is not seeing the full path. It is seeing the next step clearly enough to move. And movement creates feedback. Feedback creates adjustment. Adjustment creates mastery. But none of that happens if you keep waiting to feel ready. Readiness is the reward for action, not the prerequisite. The version of you in 22-6 will not remember how you felt starting. They will remember whether you started at all. This is why discipline must become non-negotiable. Discipline is not restriction. It is structure that protects freedom. Every time you follow through, you send a message to your subconscious, I am reliable. And reliability builds self-trust. Self-trust is rare. Most people don't trust themselves because they've broken too many promises to themselves. They set goals emotionally and abandon them emotionally. And over time, confidence erodes. But discipline repairs that, one kept promise at a time. You don't need to transform your life in a month. You need to transform your standards in a day. Standards decide behavior. Behavior decides outcomes. The future belongs to those who raise their standards before life forces them to, because life will raise them eventually through pressure, loss, or regret. Voluntary discipline is easier than forced suffering. Choose the weight you carry now, or life will assign you one later. And the version of you in 2026 will be carrying the result of that choice. This is where vision sharpens. You must see yourself ahead of where you are, not as fantasy, but as instruction. Vision is not dreaming. It is mental rehearsal. When you consistently picture the future you are building, your behavior begins to align with it automatically. You stop doing things that no longer fit who you are becoming, not out of guilt, out of incompatibility. That is real change, not force. Alignment, and alignment makes discipline sustainable. Because you are no longer pushing yourself forward, you are pulling yourself towards something meaningful, something earned, something that the future version of you will recognize as home. And once alignment takes hold, resistance begins to lose its grip. You stop arguing with yourself. The internal debate that once drained your energy starts to quiet down. Not because life becomes easier, but because your direction becomes clearer. It makes them irrelevant. When you know who you are becoming, detours no longer distract you. They are seen for what they are, tests of commitment. This is where most people fall back, not because the path is too hard, but because it demands consistency without applause. Growth is lonely before it becomes visible. You train while others entertain themselves. You plan while others scroll. You prepare while others procrastinate. And none of it looks impressive at first. That is the price of building something real. The future does not reward intention. It rewards preparation. The version of you in 2026 will not be impressed by how busy you were. They will care about what you built. They will care about whether you learn to focus in a world engineered to distract. Focus is a skill now, not a personality trait. And like every skill, it must be trained. Training focus means saying no to things that feel harmless but steal momentum. It means protecting your attention like it is currency, because it is. Where attention goes, energy flows. Where energy flows, identity forms, and identity determines outcomes. This is why adaptability matters. Rigid minds break under change. Adaptive minds evolve through it. 2026 will not look like today. New technologies, new economies, new rules. Those who cling to old habits will struggle loudly. Those who stay curious will stay relevant. Learning is not optional anymore. It is survival. The habit of learning keeps you flexible. It prevents arrogance. It sharpens humility. A great achiever was a student first. Carnegie studied people. Edison studied failure. Lincoln studied human nature. They were never done learning, and that humility gave them power, because knowledge compounds faster than effort alone. The future version of you will be living off what you are learning right now. Your skills, your thinking, your ability to solve problems, or they will be limited by what you avoided. There is no pause button on growth. You are either upgrading or falling behind. This is where resilience becomes non-negotiable. Resilience is not toughness. It is recovery speed. How quickly you return to discipline after disappointment, how fast you regain focus after failure. Average people let setbacks become identity. Focused people let setbacks become data. They analyze, they adjust, they move again. That is maturity. Life will test you before it trusts you. It will apply pressure to see if you break or adapt. And those tests are not punishments. They are invitations. Invitations to step into a stronger version of yourself. The version of you in 2026 will either remember this phase as the time you stopped running from discomfort, or the time you stayed comfortable and paid for it later. Because comfort delays growth, but compounds regret. Regret is heavy. It shows up quietly at first as comparison, as restlessness, as the feeling that you were meant for more. Ignore it long enough, and it becomes resentment. Not toward the world, but toward yourself. The disciplined path avoids that future, not because it is easy, but because it is honest. Honest about effort, honest about responsibility. And responsibility is power. When you accept full responsibility for who you are becoming, you reclaim control. No excuses, no blame, no waiting, just action. The version of you in 2026 will not be asking who failed them. They will know who built them. And that knowledge will either feel empowering or unbearable. This is the crossroads, not dramatic, not obvious, quiet, daily, personal, but decisive. You don't need a perfect plan. You need a committed direction. You don't need massive change overnight. You need small actions repeated relentlessly, because momentum is born from consistency. And once momentum exists, everything accelerates. Opportunities appear. Confidence grows. Resistance weakens. Not magically, mechanically, cause and effect. The same law that has always governed success. And when 2026 arrives not as an idea, but as a reality, you will not wonder who you could have been. You will be living it. Built quietly, earned daily, decided long before anyone noticed. That is how futures are created, not someday, now. And now it comes down to one unavoidable truth. You cannot escape the person you are becoming. You can distract yourself. You can delay reflection. You can numb awareness with noise, comfort, and excuses. But time never forgets. Time records everything. Every morning you chose convenience over commitment. Every night you postponed discipline for tomorrow. Every moment you knew what to do and didn't do it. Time keeps score quietly. And then one day, without warning, it presents the results. That day is called the future. 2006 will not ask you how hard life was. It will not ask what you meant to do. It will not care about your intentions. It will only reveal who you trained yourself to be. This is where honesty becomes power, because deep down, you already know. You know which habits are building you. You know which ones are eroding you. You know where you've been lying to yourself. And awareness is a gift, but only if you act on it. Most people don't fail because they lack ability. They fail because they avoid responsibility. Responsibility feels heavy at first. But once accepted, it becomes liberating. The moment you stop blaming circumstances, you regain control. The moment you stop waiting for permission, you step into authorship. This is what Napoleon Hill meant when he spoke of self-mastery. The discipline of thought, the discipline of action, the discipline of persistence. You are not here to drift through life hoping things improve. You are here to direct your life with intention. The world does not hand power to the hesitant. It yields to those who move decisively. That does not mean reckless speed. It means unwavering commitment. Commitment to growth. Commitment to learning. Commitment to standards that do not bend under pressure. The version of you in 2026 will not be defined by luck. They will be defined by repetition. Repetition of focus, repetition of effort, repetition of choosing long-term gain over short-term relief. That is the difference between people who age and people who evolve. Evolution is uncomfortable. It demands shedding old identities. The version of you who procrastinated, the version who waited for confidence, the version who needed validation, they cannot come with you, and letting them go will feel like loss until you realize what you gain. Clarity, momentum, self-respect. Self-respect is the foundation of confidence. Confidence does not come from praise. It comes from knowing you kept your word to yourself again and again, especially when no one was watching. That is why solitude is powerful. In solitude, excuses have nowhere to hide. In silence, your standards become visible, and when your standards rise, life responds differently. People treat you differently. Opportunities approach you differently. Challenges shape you instead of shaking you. Because you are no longer asking, can I do this? You are asking, how do I execute this? That shift is everything. The future favors executors. Dreamers are common. Doers are rare. And rarity creates value. You are not meant to blend in. You are not meant to live on autopilot. You are not meant to wonder what might have been. You are meant to build something inside yourself first. Strength of mind, depth of character, precision of habit. Those qualities do not show immediately, but they compound relentlessly. And one day, without announcement, you realize the ground beneath you is solid. You are not scrambling anymore. You are not guessing. You are moving forward with calm confidence. That is what preparation feels like. That is what discipline delivers. And when 2266 arrives, not as a countdown, but as a lived reality, you will not feel panic. You will feel ready. Ready because you didn't wait. Ready because you acted when it was uncomfortable. Ready because you respected time enough to use it wisely. The version of you in 2266 is not a mystery. They are a construction project, and construction happens daily. So build deliberately, build patiently, build relentlessly, because the future is not something you enter, it is something you create, starting now.